Good evening all. Welcome to the first day of mega event, and the session is Green Transportation Technologies. May I now invite Mr. Dhruv Behl, Editor AutoX India, as a chair for the session. Mr. Dhruv Behl founded the AutoX magazine in 2006, which has since grown to become one of the leading automotive publications in India. AutoX stands for independence, candidness, objectivity, but most of all, heart and soul. He is a member of World Car Award jury, one of the 7 members from India. Now may I invite Mr. Dhruv Behl to take over the session and introduce the speakers.
Thanks, Vikas. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this afternoon. Can I request the other speakers to join me on stage, please? Ms. Hemalatha Annamalai, who is founder and CEO of Ampere Vehicles Private Limited. Mr. Rajiv Agrawal, Secretary, Captive Power Producers Association. Mr. Wang, Xing, Chung, VP Technology, Coslight. Mr. Pradeep, Pandurangi, co-founder and CEO Levitas BV and Director of Aria, AeroTech Private Limited. Mr. Ravinder, Gupta, Chief Administrative Officer, Indian Railways Organization for Alternate Fuels. Mr. Sandeep, Thandasherry, sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, CEO NavAlt India, and Mr. Sandeep Kashyap, CEO Telecom and Distributed Solar ACME India. So thank you once again for joining us for the first day of the one mega event which covers smart cities and transport. I think the previous session ran a little bit over, so we're running slightly late. So I won't take too much time to introduce the session. We've got a very good panel of speakers, so we'll get straight to it. Just to provide a short brief, as Vikas mentioned when he was doing the introduction, I'm on the jury of the World Car Awards. And last month we were in New York to present the award to the Jaguar F-Pace, which is awarded the World Car of the Year. And the company that does collates the votes and does a lot of the research and analysis is a company by the name of Prime Research. And Prime Research found in their latest, they also published a paper about a month after the awards are issued. In their latest research report for 2017, they say that EVs are expected to surpass diesel-powered vehicles by 2025. Currently, diesels have a global market share of 13.5%. EVs have a market share of just 1%. So the next 5 to 7 years present a huge opportunity for electric vehicles. And I think our Power Minister a week ago went one further when he said that by 2030 he envisions or he hopes that all vehicles that are sold in this country are powered by electricity. So it's an ambitious target, and before we can get to that stage, we have to address the issues of cost, the issues of range, charging infrastructure, load on the grid, sources of the actual electricity to begin with, government incentives, and a whole range of other issues. So with that, I'm going to hand over to the first speaker, Hemalatha, who's sitting next to me, and we'll start this session and take it one speaker at a time, and post that we can get into a Q&A and a little more interaction. So each speaker can address the audience for about 5 to 7 minutes, and then we'll take it from there. So Ms. Annamalai, as I said, is the founder and CEO of Ampere Vehicles, a company spearheading India's e-bike revolution. Their product range from e-cycles to e-scooters, e-trolleys for carrying load, and special purpose vehicles for waste management and the differently abled. Ampere has carved a niche for itself as an innovative technology creator in the nascent Indian electric vehicle industry, contributing to environmental sustainability. Ampere's focus on rural markets has brought about far-reaching social transformation by empowering the individuals to commute at a very low cost. She believes personal mobility is a basic need on par with food, clothing, and shelter that defines the dignity of an individual. As a serial entrepreneur, she has spent the last 15 years creating and driving entrepreneurial ventures. ventures have been in varied industries spanning professional services, electronics, travel and automobiles. She holds an MBA from the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, Australia, and a bachelor's degree in computer science and engineering from the Government College of Technology in Coimbatore. And Hemalatha was mentioning that tomorrow the President is unveiling some of their charges. So congratulations on that, and welcome back this year. You were here last year as well, and I will hand the mic over.
Thank you very much, Dhruv, and the organization for giving us an opportunity to be part of here. Am I audible at the back? Okay, good. I think the previous session kind of spoke a lot about the policy issues and regulations. We will bang on go about technology. I think before I want to move into the topic, I want to explain in three buckets. One is an entrepreneur, how I came into this and how this technology is kind of ever changing fast. Secondly, in terms of technology itself, what are the challenges that we are having and how the government is kind of putting this EV industry in a different landscape and rewriting the EV plan. And thirdly, what is the social impact that we have created through technology in our venture? So these are the three buckets that I'm going to talk to today. As an entrepreneur, as Dhruv said, I've done few ventures. This is my fifth venture. Came back to India in 2008 with a very large vision of doing something back for my country. I'm a very patriotic Indian, and I just feel that any technology developed, like Abdul Kalam says, if there is a technology, it should not rest as a white paper. Instead, it should be a technology that's available for a common man. So I think for us in our lab, if you see, there are a lot of Abdul Kalam pictures, his quotes and all that continuously. So we imbibe some of the things that he has said. And we came back, and the industry we started in 2008. So we were actually doubling our sales and the growth every year on year by almost 200%. So in 2011, suddenly business was growing, and suddenly the government said that no more subsidy, finished, collapsed, the market collapsed. Right? There were three problems at that point of time. One is the government withdrew subsidy. Awareness was of course nil. Even now it was nil. The last panel spoke about it. And the financing for e-bikes was not available. So these are the three reasons where the industry just collapsed. So what happens is that the entrepreneur, when you're driving a venture of such large scale, and you actually wanted to come back and you wanted to give back and you wanted to create change. Change creation always takes time. Right? And when change creation takes time, one of the biggest challenges that I have learned and I practice as an entrepreneur is that sustenance is the key. Right? And you kind of learn the art of sustaining in a technology-based business, focusing on sales and cash flow no matter what. I realized that as a CEO, whether you're doing 50 crores, 100 crores or 500 crores, if the CEO is not hands-on to drive the business, I think he or she shall not be successful. Number one. So as an entrepreneur, now that you have sustained, now we are seeing silver lining from far. And this is a very, very, very good initiative made by the current government. I think it's extremely positive. The current government understands that the policies now cannot be just driven by bureaucrats. It has to be driven by technocrats. So they are actually getting people from all over the world, understanding the vision of what these should do for the company. And right now, the 2 or 3 changes they did. What they did, they removed the subsidy for mild hybrid vehicles in the last 3 months ago. Now the full focus is on electric vehicles, and they are seeing how India can move completely electric by 2030. And this is not an impossible vision, I say, from my experience. It is definitely possible. And how it can be made possible is that I think we end users must be part of the social change. How many of y'all are driving 2-wheeler, 3-wheeler, 4-wheeler, electric, all electric? No. Mild, plug-in hybrid or any hybrid cars? No. So this is the opportunity we are addressing, right? One of the biggest challenges is awareness. And the problem with addressing the consumer mind is range anxiety, right? If I buy this vehicle, because by nature we have understood after being in the market that Indian consumers are a lot different than the other customers of the West, China, Japan, or even Singapore, Malaysia, if you take. So we have found that three striking traits of an Indian consumer. The Indian consumer looks vehicle for life, right? They look for longer life of the vehicle, they look for resale value of the vehicle, they look for lot of convenience of the vehicle at low cost. Okay, when I say low cost, not completely low cost, at an acceptable value. I don't think Indian are low cost in mind. If there's a good value in terms of technology, customers are willing to pay price. So we have understood that. So let me just move to the technology bucket. Now, in technology area, when we came back to do this vehicles, there are a lot of lead acid vehicles. We were then thinking, why can't we do lithium? But then lithium at that point of time, if lead acid was 100, lithium was almost 400. That means 400% more than the lithium solutions in 2008. Today it's about maybe 2.8 to 3x. So it can still higher, but adoption does not happen. So what we did as a company is that we kind of completely changed the space. We actually made a BMS for a lead acid battery. We were the first company in India to make a battery BMS for a lead acid scooters. We did for our cycles, electric cycles, and for electric scooters. And that step that we took amidst so much of adversity and difficulty paid off in a big way. So our customers come back for our intelligent battery. This is one area that we have innovated, and we are also now innovating more. So in 2012, Technology Development Board came to Coimbatore. They said that, oh, this technology is very interesting. Maybe the associated components other than a battery, because battery is a commodity right now. You don't have to rebuild the, reinvent the wheel. So they said, how is the powertrain? So we said that yes, we are building homegrown technology on motor, controller, and charger and converters. So we just focus on the charger because charger was the key culprit that was actually affecting the life of the batteries. And many chargers were imported, and imported chargers will not auto cut off the batteries. So even if until you switch off the power physically, current will still pass through the cable to the battery even if the battery is fully charged. So what happens? The battery gets bulged. Slowly over a period of time, the battery degrades, and within 4 to 6 months, the battery is completely down. So for any consumer, when he buys a vehicle, he is kind of completely let off, right? 6 months the battery is failing. So that was the problem of the industry which we addressed. Number one. So we are right now focusing on the powertrain. So slowly we want to ensure that we want to be completely doing technologies in India, by Indians, for India, focusing India first. Because we believe that imported components will not be able to understand Indian road conditions, power conditions, tariff conditions. For example, if you take the batteries, if you take the neighboring China, they have only 2 months summer. Baki 10 months are all winter. So the lead acid batteries performance is not bad at all there. And you see the roads in China, completely clean shaven roads. No, absolutely predictable road conditions, right? So these are the two conditions where the vehicle has performed very well there. So that does not mean if China is consuming 40 million, India also can consume, yes. But there are operational infrastructural changes that the government must make. Yeah. So on the battery, I told about lead acid and how we kind of innovated there. And on the powertrain, we are right now innovating. As Dhruv said, our electric chargers for cycles and scooters are which is completely indigenized. Tomorrow is being launched at Vinyan Bhavan. Our Honorable President is launching the Technology Development Day at 1:30 tomorrow. And it's a very proud moment for us because this is one of the first technologies that we are taking, we are commercializing, and we're also open to give our technology to other OEs if they wanted to use for their own vehicles, because that's when the scale can come. And thirdly, I want to tell about the social aspects of technology. Now what happened is that in our electric cycle, we have the battery, right? Now what we did is we made a small DC-DC converter to convert the battery into an UPS. At one point of time, we had 16-hour power cut in Tamil Nadu, right? In 16-hour power cut, one customer came and told me, madam, why are you making to buy another inverter? Why can't we convert the battery into the inverter? So most of our innovations are all coming straight from the customers, and we listen to our customers. Believe me, the best marketing decisions and the best business models, the best technological improvements are coming only from our customers, but we have to just listen very carefully, document, make PCRs, product change requests, and implement effectively. So on the electric cycles, we made our battery as an inverter. First technology available for a common man. The second one, what we also did is that we actually knew that there were a lot of problems for people carry loads inside the factories. So we made first electric trolley in Coimbatore, and few companies are already using our electric trolley, which means a trolley is a trolley, a normal trolley but completely motorized. So we have done that, and that has also given a lot of productivity enhancements for companies. Number two. And then number three is that we actually are one of the first companies to make battery operated scooters for the physically disabled. Okay, why should the disabled, differently able to be deprived of technology? Is it not? So we made the vehicle, and we have ran a fleet of about 1,500 scooters in Tamil Nadu through the state government of Tamil Nadu. So I think if technologies are made available to all, it should also be able to available for the differently able, which I strongly view. And lastly, I want to tell you that we also trained some 500 women in 2 panchayats in Coimbatore. So we made a battery operated 3-wheeler, and made these women to operate the electric three-wheelers. And what happened? They actually went house to house to collect segregated, garbage. Garbage will be segregated at source. If garbage is segregated at source, it becomes extremely easy for people to be able to carry and get it back to the compost for further sales of all the proceeds. These projects are very interesting because the then project director came and told me, Hema, this is very interesting, we want to do it, but I don't have funds. So he was innovative and came with an idea saying that, I think that you and I should go together to meet all nearby hospital, temple, college, institutions and other, and let's ask for sponsorships. So we got 41 vehicle sponsorship and we made three-wheelers. The complete project was implemented in a record 6 months and it is sustainable and driving by itself, the project. So now other panchayats are following the model of what we have done in Kurudambalim Panchayat. So if technologies are available, I think it should be available for all classes of people. And that is something that we strongly advocate. And to conclude, I think I've taken my 5-7 minutes already. So I think to conclude, I want to tell you that we are the Tesla for common man. We want to ensure technologies reach common man, and we wanted to focus on giving good technologies at affordable prices to the Indian consumers. If an Indian consumer is happy, definitely there is a lot of emerging markets in Africa and all that can be opening up for us as well. I think with that, I wanted to summarize by saying 3 things which I wanted the government to listen and to act upon. See, what happens is that if innovative companies are identified and fast-tracked, we can have excellent technology implementation in India. Today, for every project that we do, the government expects startups to come with 50% of margin money for grant, right? So if the product cost is 100, the government says, you come 50, I give 50, but I give 50 at a soft loan of say 5%. That is good. But then when access to funding is very difficult for manufacturing companies, I think the government must change stance. And they must at least give support in the form of equity or be a little bit more risk-taking and be able to support entrepreneurial startups. This is first advice. Well, thing that we wanted to tell the government. The second thing we wanted to tell the government is that when they identify talent in technology, please give the right opportunity for them to showcase, because technologies cannot succeed always. Scope of failure is very high. If there is a failure, please embrace those technology startups and give them a push, because failure will make them succeed next time. Okay, all time you cannot succeed in technology business. Number 2. And lastly, I also feel that existing companies in the electric vehicle space must co-opt with each other to be able to learn technology, because in India it's very, I find that it's still not very open, right? Each company is just onto themselves. There's no technology sharing available. This was the case in Singapore, where I come from, where people readily share technology, and an yes is a yes and a no is a no, right? I think if that is the way to go forward, I think India can definitely proceed forward, and I'm sure that with the current government's focus and with the current policy initiatives, infrastructure initiatives, I think we are bound to scale. So from whatever angle you look at, technology, market, policy, infrastructure, awareness, funding and financing, electric vehicle is the future, and that is going to scale and grow. Thank you.
Thank you. Your passion is infectious, and as you say, you're the Tesla for India, and is in similar vein to their approach, which is to share their patents openly, so that the technology can progress further. The next speaker is Mr. Rajiv Agrawal, Secretary, Captive Power Producers Association of India. Rajiv Agrawal has a huge industrial experience as a leader in large companies and diversified sectors such as cement, chemicals, textiles, agro, FMCG, power and fuels. He has upgraded his skills through CFA and PGDBA, Life Tools from Landmark Education, USA. Currently, he is designated as Secretary at Indian Captive Power Producers Association. He is helping industries with proven novel green technologies for fuel and emission saving, i.e. biotechnology, Soltron enzymes, and a nanotechnology, X-Plate. Rajiv.
Good afternoon, friends. When I'm starting, I just say that I completed my engineering way back in '85 from the ITS Pilani. And from 2005, I got associated with this association. And somewhere down the line, I got a bug how to reduce national energy cost by technology and through policy advocacy, both the things together. Now, when we are talking of smart cities, now is it what we are looking at, what we just saw, or is it something that we need to work out? Now, there are no technologies to upgrade existing vehicles. Hardly any technologies which can be implemented on two-wheelers. And we can't wait for the day in future when electrical vehicles will replace all the existing vehicles. So what we do, we have to be working smart and sustainability means also. Now, we need to reduce emissions from existing pollution sources, that is from existing vehicles. And it also has got something when we talk of prevent scrapping of vehicles brought from hard-earned money. What she said that people want to buy a vehicle for the life. It's not only people want to buy, basically Indian culture itself says don't waste. Wherein all the policies in last few years are stressing on scrapping. And interpretation of that, just think of a retired person on dwindling interest rates. Now interest rates have fallen down by 5-6% in last few years now. Now can she afford a replacement of her vehicle? Definitely not. Then what is the solution? So there has to be a sustainability. This is another aspect and dimension of suffering. If the moment I say, okay, let's look at the existing polluting vehicles. So everyone will say, okay, what are you saying? Now the technology what I'm talking of is actually do boond. Only 2 drops are required in a liter to transform the fuel itself. And it's a technology which is globally proven, and it doesn't, it won't take government resources. It does not need government subsidy, only something, a willpower from government to work and to implement the technology. Now, this technology is something I say that it takes care of all type of vehicles, engines, off the road vehicles, ships, and at the same time all type of liquid fuels, be it petrol, diesel, furnace oil, kerosene. Because when I'm mentioning kerosene is for the reason that not only kerosene, there are many other adulterants which are added to the fuel, and also some people add water. Now that's what is something which is, and not only that, now we are coming out with the biofuels. Biofuels means officially we are adding water to the fuel. Now the moment we add water, there is something called bug, means bacteria, yeast, mold, etc. that grow on the surface of fuel and water, and that creates lot of problems for the vehicles. No one is talking of that part in India. So far I have not heard any government official to admit that yes, they are even looking at this aspect, leave apart working on it. I was sitting with a friend in a big one of the oil marketing companies, and there was a report that some petrol vehicles have shut down after getting the filling. It was ethanol mixed petrol. So whatever biofuels we are talking of, we are actually not talking of what are the repercussions. Now this also just reminds me of the hand that US EPA has given a recent warning that earlier all the underground storage tanks that you find in the petrol pumps, that were getting corrosion at the bottom. Now after introduction of these biofuels, both ethanol as well as biodiesel, the corrosion is taking place in the empty space, because all these bacteria I was referring to eat on the fuel, generate acids. Those are light fraction acids, gets evaporated, react with chloride, sulfates and other things, and create lot of strong acids, and that is what is creating the problem. So definitely we need something for that. But here fortunately we don't need anything extra except the Soltron what we have. Now basically it's a bioengineered compound which is having more than 20 enzymes in this, all derived from natural sources. This is a patented Japanese technology which was developed over a period of 20 years research, and across the globe for more than 20 years it is in use. It meets all the EU and US requirements. Now this is something, this picture I downloaded from net. Now all of our friends must have seen enzymes in detergents and food, etc. But so far India has very low understanding on enzymes for this application. Now that is to reduce use of petroleum based products, to reduce pollution and improve product safety. I am not saying this, this is what is the US knowledge people, they have put up this particular slide on the net. Now what I found that Soltron is the only, I am saying the only product in the world which is actually doing this. There are a lot of people who are trying to be quacks, but actually those products are not working. And these Soltron is being sold in different countries in different names. Now basically Soltron, when I am talking of enzymes, these are basically nothing but proteins which are basically produced by living cells. If we talk of our human body, we are living, we are surviving because of only and because of enzymes. Whatever we eat, carbohydrates, there is a separate set of enzymes. For fats, there is a separate set of enzymes. Now the enzymes of fats will not work on carbohydrates. So there is a very specific type of molecules on which it works, and that's where the enzymes in Soltron works on a specific type which is hydrocarbons. Now you must have seen, you must have heard of that there is a tanker collision on the sea and there is an oil spill, and what they do, they actually spread bacteria on that which produce enzymes, and these enzymes disintegrate the whole hydrocarbons. Now here in this case they are not disintegrating, they are very selectively modifying the fuel structure whatever is usable for us. Now basically technology is very simple, that once long chain hydrocarbons including aromatic chains, asphaltenes are broken, the curated fuel has better quality and oxygenation. It results into better atomization, more and smaller number of droplets with higher surface area. This creates more complete combustion and sharp reduction in emissions. We have seen around 5% to 20-25% fuel saving and 30% to 90% reduction in emissions. I am not making any tall claims, sir. And ladies, what I am saying is this is what world has seen. And this is where it pinches, that we in India are still struggling to tell the government, to tell the organizations, please, this is a technology, please consider it. Now this is something, a tug. Tug is a boat which is used for pulling the ships in and out of the harbors, because within the harbor boundaries they are not allowed to run their own engines. They have to run on a specific channel, pass through that channel, and only tugs can do that. Now these are very heavy machines, and after a year what they found is on the two tugs what I was showing, one of the tugs, this is what actually they saw. Now you see that the soot from Soltron curated fuel is a dry grey and which is not stuck. What you are seeing, the shining things, the soot has been wiped off using only a cloth. So if you find such a beautiful condition of engine, still if you don't want to use it, now this is what is a normal sticky engine looks like. So horrible. And not only that, Wärtsilä is one of the largest ship engine manufacturers and DG set manufacturers. They did test this on for 1 year. They monitored the whole ship, and at the end of 3,500 hours, they said that on endoscopy we find absolute no trace of carbon in the internals. And this was the engine which was sticky, which was not able to take the load. Now these are the miracles which this technology is doing. Now when I say this, basically it's a end-to-end fuel and engine management. Now, it is something, I'm not trying to use any jargon. I'm actually mean what I'm saying. I've already explained that how it is enhancing the fuel quality. It also cleans the deposits, the bugs on the storage. It cleans the complete fuel injection system. And I've already explained that how the better combustion is taking place. So naturally, first three things means reduce fuel consumption. And once there is no carbon, engine maintenance goes down. What has been experienced is 20 to 40% reduction in engine oil consumption. Now, how engine oil becomes dirty, more carbon is generated, unburned carbon within the cylinder that gets carried away through these leakings, through the seals, the way it is designed. And that's how the life of engine oils go down, because there's a collection of more and more carbon particles. So just because of low carbon, low soot and dry soot, this is what is happening, and definitely that is also adding to reduction in emissions. I've already talked of diesel bugs, etc. Now this is how in Netherlands there's a complete chain of Soltron treated fuel pumps. They sell it by name X-Mile. Now these are some of the European sites, European brands, if I say, like in Holland, in France and in Greece, they are using both for biofuel as well as for plain diesel. Now anyway Europe is mandated to have at least 5% biofuel. Now when I got the very first sample of this enzymes, I did it in my own Honda City, which was a brand new, under warranty and 20,000 kilometers. After adding and before adding, I did a POC, and the results were really eye-opener for me. I got 8.5% reduction in carbon dioxide. Now that's where the actual fuel saving is coming. Hydrocarbon limit for a petrol car is 100. It was a perfectly tuned car, so it was 20. But even that 20 was reduced to 4. That's 80% reduction. And when I was saying that it reduces the emissions, this is a proof. There are many more things which I'll show you across. Yeah, that's something which, okay, our tiny neighbor Sri Lanka, they are using the technology for last 15 years. And our IOC counterpart, that is Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, as you can see on the mast, they sell Soltron on the petrol pumps. They sell Soltron to the industries. But here, we are too much tied up with the red tape. Now, internationally, in the reputed labs, this has been tested, because in the Europe, you cannot sell a product, you cannot sell fuel unless it meets required specification. And all these tests, this is just to show you one, that how lubricity has improved, how cetane number has improved. This can happen only because it actually modified the fuel. This is a very elaborate exercise which was done by Professor Douglas and of Queen's University and Belfast. He has documented how exactly the Soltron is working. Now this is also being used by NATO and our own country, Navi Mumbai Municipal Transport. Navi Mumbai Municipal Corporation, they have their own transport wing, and our Mr. J.J. Bhai is also sitting here from that municipal corporation. So they have done a test on one of the depot. They gave us one full depot for testing. Centrally in the central storage tank, the curation was done, and they only did the PUC. They arranged the PUC before and after, and what they got is astonishing. 51% average reduction in HSU. That is something what I am talking of when I am saying 30% to 80%. So they also got a, I'll not say fuel saving, they termed it in terms of 12.5% revenue increase as a result of this. This is something fantastic. All the bus drivers, they gave the feedback, they vouched that yes, how the technology was felt by them while driving. The maintenance in that particular month, it was August, one of the worst months in Mumbai rains, and still the maintenance was minimal. Our great Indian Railway also did that. A field trial was done, but after almost, you can say, 7 years, ultimately RDSO agreed to do the test, and half-heartedly they started something and left in between. So this is what is our country standing, and this is what is the potential of this particular technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajiv. If the speakers in the audience would allow me one small indulgence, please. Could I request Mr. Oleg Kambersky, Head Transport and Taxis of the IRU, Ms. Sunila Natushi, also from the IRU, and Dr. Kulwant Singh from the IRU to join me on stage for just a moment, please, and unveil their latest book. Thank you.
We promote solar.
Thank you very much for that. May I request Mr. Wang Chung, VP Technology, Coslight, to make his presentation, please. And Mr. Chung, I don't have your profile, so if I could request you to just say a couple of words to introduce yourself. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. So let me introduce myself. I come from Coslight Power. Coslight Power is the head office in China. So we have a factory in India. Also, we have the business in India more than 10 years. So today, we just focus what is the green transportation. So all the person talk about the green transportation. So as a battery supplier, we have supplied so many the battery pack for the vehicle. So that's why first let us see what is the international situation. Before we talk about the green, the transportation, all the person will think what is the carbon reduction, what is the international situation. From this picture we can see 2020 all the company they have the carbon reduction target, and most of the country they have the similar target, even India. And what is the passenger car? EV passenger car, the global market. So last year, I check, what is the global market. The first is China, US, New Zealand, so France. So China already, manufacture the passenger car more than 3.2 lakh, and number 2 is US. So what is the difference between the EV and the HEV? In the EV and HEV is some different. EV is a pure battery supply the power, and HEV is engine and the battery hybrid. So now in China, the pure EV around 2.5 lakh, and US is 86,000, and HEV, so China and US are similar. Other countries around 20,000, 80,000 something. And the first we'll see what is the the EV HEV market. So the first brand is Tesla, and the second is Chevrolet, Volt, and Ford. So other brand is less than this three. The American local brand. So this is China, 2016. The total vehicle market more than 23 million, the total volume. But we will see totally how many EV and HEV market in China. The totally including the pure EV, HEV, e-bus, HEV bus. So totally around 5.2 lakh. And even this 5 lakh quantity only share 2%. So the market. And that Coslight power we supply the battery. We have experience in battery area more than 30 years. So we have a lithium battery experience more than 80 years. That's why next step we have to focus. What is the power battery market in China? The first one is NCM. The second one the LLP battery, LTO and other battery type. So from the percentage, the share percentage, we can see NCM is 23%, and the LLP is 75%. This market share. And I got some data from the internet. Maybe these are not very exact, but only for our reference. So, 2050, Indian passenger car total volume is more than 3 million, and the biggest vehicle is 6 lakh, and the two-wheeler, three-wheeler around 2 crore. So totally is more than 2.3 crore. So this value may be not very exact, but for our reference. And as I know now, in India only Mahindra, Tata, Hero, and Tata some company they are manufacturing in processing, starting and manufacture processing. So just now we talk about what is the international situation and what is our solution, how we can get the good green future, what is the green, the transportation. We talk about the major solution is the EV, HEV. So as the EV, HEV partner, as a battery supplier, what is our solution? So Coslight, we have 3 types of solution. The first is energy storage of, electronic vehicle. The second is energy storage system of full backup. And another one for two-wheeler, three-wheeler, the battery product. every battery pack we can separate the different parts. The first one is battery. Battery means the battery cell. The second is the BMS. We call this one is the battery management system. So then you can get the battery pack. And the final, you put the battery in the EV, HEV, and also we need the charging unit. So only, we only talk about, the battery pack, but every battery pack, you should consider some performance. The first one is high temperature performance. The second one is low temperature performance. So another one, the heating management something. And every battery system, whole assembly. The first one is the battery cell, the BMS, the battery module pack, and the battery heat management. So the different battery cell material, and you can get the battery different, the battery cell design. Also, we can supply, the battery management, including the BMU, the BMS, charging and discharging equalization. So we talk about so many, the battery pack and something, but the core technology is battery cell. The battery cell. How you can get the good quality and the safety guard the battery cell? The positive, the negative material, electrolyte, separator, all of this one. So the raw material and the technology is very, very important. So if you can get, the raw material, for example, just now later I will talk about what is the raw material, what is the good quality, what is the high performance. Later I will talk about. So right now, just now we talk about, now the battery material is NavAlt. In China market, share is 75%. NCM is 23%. So the different material, we can get the different cell design. One is NavAlt, another one is NCM. So Coslight, we just provide the battery structure is aluminum prismatic. So this is a battery cell. In this, one performance is very important. So the energy reading. Also we can see this energy density. So all of us want to talk about what is your EV, what is your HEV, the driving range. What is your driving range? How you can get the lightweight design. So you see, the first one is only 90 watt-hours per kg, but the second one is 152, 131, 145 watt-hours per kg. The different design, we have the different application. So the first one just for the HEV, hybrid. Because the hybrid EV, sometimes the charging and discharging, the current is very huge. And the second one is for pure EV. And the third one, fourth one also is for pure EV. This page I just show the NCM material cell. The NCM material cell, the density is higher than that, LLT. So the first one already reached 167. The second one, third one already target 180. So next one, just now I heard some person talk about the battery, the BMS. So we also have our own the BMS system. The BMS just protect the battery. So just get protect the battery and ensure the battery supply the energy to the vehicle. So this is the battery management system and the remote monitor system. Okay. So some battery pack, including the lightweight design and the good, the IP65, the cabinet. So how you can get the battery pack, the battery modular design and the cabinet design. So this is some sample. Now in China it is very popular. You see this very small car, only 2 seats. So we see this one. The motor is 18 kilowatts, and the driving range is 180 kilometer, and the maximum speed is 888. The battery pack the battery pack only 180 kg, and the energy is 7.7 kWh. This is 2 EV. This is the longer EV. This is 5 seats, and the motor is 45 kilowatts, and the driving range more than 200 kilometer, and the battery weight is 285 kg, and the nominal power is 25. This solution for the e-bus. Now we have the standard battery cabinet. So for example, we use 150 Ah battery cell. We make the modular, and the second we can get the modular A and the modular B, the different dimension. Then you can get the different voltage, the different energy, the battery pack. So we just get the e-bus, the pure e-bus, electronic e-bus, battery pack. This one is 8 meter, the maximum speed 69. So the e-bus. So the battery pack, each box is 240 kg, and totally the nominal power is 124 kWh. That is e-bus. The driving range is 150 kilometer. So some important design parameter for the pack. Also, we check some Indian, the market. So because Indian market, most one is 2-wheeler, 3-wheeler, and the passenger car. So that's why we show some important design parameter. So if 2-wheeler, what is the motor power, what is the battery voltage, we should focus. 3-wheeler, 4-wheeler, and what is the high speed, what is the vehicle weight. So this is the different, the performance. So we just supply the different the battery pack, the different voltage battery pack. So because today the time is very short, I just introduce what is the technology of Coslight power, what is our battery technology. So what is my conclusion? So the green transportation is our today's topic, but also we should focus what is the green future. So the green future, as a battery supplier, we just focus my battery, the technology, how we can improve the technology, improve the efficiency, improve the safety guard. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chung. Now can I request Mr. Pradeep Pandurangi, to co-founder and CEO, Levitas BV, and director of Aria AeroTech Private Limited. Pradeep is co-founder and CEO of Levitas BV, a spin-off from TU Delft based in the Netherlands. With his impeccable innovative idea of designing lightweight electric city bus for European market, competed in climate KIC competition, Europe's largest public-private innovation initiative, which focused on climate innovation to mitigate and adapt to climate changes by innovating sustainable technologies. Furthermore, to promote natural composites in different applications and to reduce the carbon footprint around the world, Levitas collaborated with the largest cork manufacturer in Portugal to promote composites in applications such as automotive, construction, marine and aviation. Besides this organization, he's also started his own firm with the same inspiration from Aria with the name Aria AeroTech. Aria AeroTech focuses on developing fuel-efficient technologies for commercial vehicles by applying novel technologies. Pradeep.
Thanks a lot, Dhruv. Am I audible? Is this good speaking volume? Okay, thanks. So I'll just quickly, run through the story of my entrepreneurship story, and then show you some pictures of what I'm doing here in India. Because the first part, as you said about with Levitas, so we are basically a team of aerospace engineers, and what we are doing is what the technologies of lightweight engineering, what we learned from the aerospace industry, we apply it to the transport industry in order to make vehicles more fuel efficient. Of course, lightweighting is very important for electric vehicles because the batteries are heavy, as you are seeing the charts, and as you have the fuel efficiency is affected by the weight of the batteries. Now, this affects the performance in terms of range. Hemalatha was talking about the range. If you have a heavier car, the batteries, you can go to lesser range. It's also very important for commercial vehicles because commercial vehicles are limited by the payload that they can carry. So if you want to make electric commercial vehicles, then you are actually, by having heavy battery, you're reducing the payload. So why would a commercial vehicle operator even buy electric vehicles? Because he will earn less money from it. So one thing when we think about consumers, we have to think about why would they buy an electric vehicle? Consumer doesn't think from the point of view that, oh, I want to buy an electric vehicle. There are very small number of people who think like that. Most people want to get from A to B in a convenient manner. They want to not run out of battery, right? So similarly, if you think of commercial vehicles, it's a business. People want to earn money. How can an electric truck earn me more money? That's what a transporter will think, right? So we have to design stuff from that perspective. Now the project that I was involved in, so in Europe we were doing a lot of consulting work, lightweight design. So we designed this electric city bus, and all the graphs that you see there of the battery and weight calculations. So we have to look at first the system level. How do you design a city bus which is profitable for the transporter, which is green, and there are a lot of parameters. Now there is not one answer to this, right? You can make lightweight using composite materials that have high capital costs to begin with, but it will last longer, so the total life cycle cost is lower. But you can also build it with cheap materials and it still works. To give you an example, there's a company called Proterra in US that's making electric buses. They have a full composite body, and so it's at the high end of electric buses. So they are able to sell to places or to organizations that are doing or are willing to make the huge capital expense upfront, right? But there is also BYD, which has a heavy, relatively heavier body, more conventional way, and they have put a lot of batteries to get the range. If you see behind the driver, if you've seen their design, I don't know, it's like filled with battery packs. So it brings down the aesthetics, but it's cheaper. So there are different ways to do this, but I think the end goal, we have to keep this in mind when we are designing stuff. Any electric vehicle is finally the consumer. We have to create value for them. If it's for the consumer, if it's B2C, then like Tesla, you have to make it cool. You have to take away range anxiety. And if it's for the commercial vehicle sector, then you have to think from the point of view of, okay, is the person able to make money out of this? So this was all about consulting work in the vehicle design industry in Europe. But as Hemalatha was also saying something about Abdul Kalam, we are the generation inspired by Abdul Kalam, inspired by movies like Swades. So we always like to come back and do something in India. So what happened while doing this, two things. One, while you are doing consulting, you are developing products for other people. So there's always like, oh, I have this cool idea, I want to make my own product and sell your own product. That was one thing that I had in my mind. And second thing was, in India over the last 4 years, whenever I come back, the pollution has increased a lot. I live in Mumbai, and you can see, if you know Mumbai, there is Sanjay Gandhi National Park, and there is a hill, and the hill has canary caves. So from my window you could see canary caves, right, 4 years ago. And now when I come back, it's a haze. I can't see those canary caves. So I always feel like, okay, I'm in Europe. I'm doing, I'm reducing carbon footprint in Europe. Of course, it's good, you should do it everywhere in the world, but why not in India? So then the idea was to start a project in India, and that side project has now spun off into a company called Aria AeroTech. And what we are doing is we are making an aerodynamic kit for trucks. It's an aftermarket add-on. If you can just put on the picture, there was a presentation with a few pictures. Is that possible? Oh, it's already there. Wait. Can you show it there? Is that possible? So that's what I'm doing in India. We have an aerodynamic kit. So the project has spun off into a company, Aria AeroTech. It's an aftermarket kit. As you see, it's highlighted in yellow. We started doing some CFD analysis, that is computational fluid dynamics, to see what happens in the Indian scenario. That's our Ashok Leyland Boss truck. We put it at 50 kilometers per hour, see what happens. Because we spoke to transporters and asked, okay, what's the average speed that you guys drive at on the golden quadrilateral? And we saw that there is 30% less drag, which translates to about 10-11% improved fuel efficiency. Very great, everything looks good on software, right? What happens in the actual running conditions? So we wanted to do a test. We went and asked people who have trucks that please give us a truck for a month, we want to do some modification and test it. Of course, nobody is willing to rent out a truck to you. So what do? We ended up buying our own truck, which is now our R&D truck, and we do all kinds of modification on it. And we did the test. We got very good results. On a loaded condition for a reefer, we can save 6.7%. For unloaded condition, about 11 to 12% we've seen. And we took these results to the fleet owners. So we start off with large fleet owners who actually have some control over the fuel payment system. So they actually pay the fuel bunks themselves. So they get the benefit, right? And as you know, if you know the commercial vehicle industry of trucks is very fragmented. So there are very few large logistic players who actually own trucks. So it was not very difficult to get to them. So we pitched them its idea, and right now we have completed pilots with about 3 of them. And in a couple of months, hopefully you'll start seeing this on the highways if you go there. Final point that I want to make is, why did we go for trucks and why did we go for this? We want to have impact fast now. So these are the pictures you see. You can see the elements here. The point is impact. Why we are doing the trucks and why we are doing this. There was previously another slide which showed the number of passenger vehicles being sold, number of two-wheelers and number of commercial vehicles. Commercial vehicle is actually a very small percentage in terms of number of vehicles. So the fleet of vehicles on the road in India. So just 3%. But they consume, if you look at how much petroleum products are consumed in the transport sector, they consumed 40%. So if you save 10% on these vehicles, you have a very large impact. You have to save a lot more fuel on scooters to have that impact. So that's the reason we went to do this. And so we are very happy that we are able to do this in just over a year, that the product will be out in the market and we'll be able to make a difference. This is just a first step for us. As we said, we are focused. Our goal is to save money, fuel cost for the transporter, right? So that's our business logic. And as a side effect, you're already automatically saving fuel and improving the environment and saving petro dollars for the country. So, but the first point what I've learned is you have to save money for your customer. You have to have a clear business case in your mind, and that's how I think the product should work. That's going to be our logic for the next products that we are going to launch. Thank you.
Thank you, Pradeep. We hope to see many of those trucks on our roads. They look much better as well, so that's an added benefit. May I request Mr. Ravinder Gupta, Chief Administrative Officer, Indian Railways Organization for Alternate Fuel, Ministry of Railways, Government of India. Thank you, sir.
Section Chair, Mr. Behl, my colleagues on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. I know I am sitting amongst a lot of private industry, so let me show you all. I am the ugly bureaucrat of government. Have a good look. Governmental policies, they often are seen as strangulating for private industry. Often we find that we are standing in the path either as a regulatory body or as a bulk user like railways, who are unwilling to try new products, who are inflexible in their approach. But at the same time, Indian Railways is much different from other government organizations. A lot of people talk about 24/7. I often say that many people don't even understand what is 24/7. 24/7 is that if a train starts from Delhi to Calcutta or Delhi to Bombay at 8 o'clock in the morning, 365 days in a year, no matter come rain, hail, sunshine, whatever, whether people are sick, operators are unwell, there are problems in the system, there are economic problems, whatever, that train will leave at that time. All that is needed for it will be gathered. If it needs coaches, it will be gathered. If it needs people, they will be gathered. There's a job to be done. So normally what happens is, normal middle of the run railwayman remains busy trying to save money. Running railway is costly business anywhere in the world. Two things which consume maximum money in railways. One is manpower. Not just Indian Railways, we are a fraternity of about 1.2 to 1.3 million people. World over, railways are generally manpower intensive. So manpower costs are very important for railways. The second thing is energy. We consume about 20 to 25 to 30% of our cost in energy. We cannot toy around with anything which is less powerful. For example, we look for our options of locomotives which will drive a 4,500 tons minimum train 1,000 kilometers at one run when we start a locomotive. So if it's an electric locomotive, it needs sustained power for that long. If it's a diesel locomotive, it needs sustained power for that long. What does it translate into? 4,500 tons for about 1,000 kilometers. Almost 4.5 million ton kilometer each turning. So availability of fuel sources, not just normally when we talk about alternate fuels, green fuels, we have heard a lot of discussion about electric vehicles, batteries, but let me sound a slightly dissenting chord. At the end of the day, green means green fuel. The power for batteries can come from solar, all right, but for major utilities, major industries which have 24 hours round the clock consumption of energy, solar alone is not the solution. During the off hours, which are 3/4 of the day, you require generation from conventional sources. And that conventional source, my dear friends, will come from one of the dirty sources, coal, petroleum, or from some new source which will be cleaner. I count nuclear also amongst the dirtier sources, though not traditionally in that way, but it has a fallout on the environment in terms of risk. Therefore, the efforts of Indian Railways has been to, while keep watching our short-term consumption of fuel, bring it down from 18,000, 19,000 crores per annum down to today around 14,500 crores per annum, with plans to bring it down to 8,000 crores per annum by various interventions. We are also at the same time looking at alternate fuels. A specific organization was set up for this purpose, and this works like so many other niches in the large railway system of India. We look at fuels and the energy security of the organization over 10 years, 15 years hence. Today, we are electrifying our system in a big way. But we are aware that ultimately electric power will come from somewhere. There will be power stations. So even at the best case scenario where we have managed to electrify whole of our system, about 20 to 30% of our locomotives will still work on diesels. These are essential requirements to take care of emergencies, breakdowns, accidents, war situation, risks. So there is no getting away from diesel. Now let me take you towards the problems of these large energy users. The ship lines and railways, these use large boats diesel engines. They are very different from normal diesel engines. Their fuel requirement is high, they are very efficient. These large bore engines are far more efficient than what you see on the road in terms of trucks, maybe 4 to 5 times more efficient, even more. A diesel locomotive normally will spend about 8.5 times, 1 by 8.5 times the energy a truck spends per ton kilometer. So in the corresponding way, per business output, the pollution is less. But there are two driving factors which are driving Indian Railways towards alternate fuels. Number one, all the energy is imported. The Government of India has taken a very significant decision, zero energy import. It's very, very ambitious decision. Today as I stand here, it gives me goosebumps to think that there can be a day when India can become energy export free. Energy import free. Import will come in the form of either petroleum, or it will come in the form of CNG or LNG. As compared to petroleum, CNG, LNG are lesser levels. CNG, LNG market is more of a buyer's market. So prices are expected to be more regulated as compared to petroleum, which is a seller's market. So today if Uncle Sam decides to look the other way and the oil price goes up, our economy can come crashing. This fear is there for both China and India, both emerging economies who do not have petroleum as in their reserves. They are dependent on those famous 5 petroleum fields. So the current government under leadership of Modi ji is looking very intently to somehow find ways and means of locating new energy sources. Solar is being exploited fully, but everybody in the government is aware of the limitations of solar. We are wanting to reach our capacity of 800 gigawatt. The second area which started somewhere around 13-14 years back in India, that was biodiesel. We started plantations, we started Jatropha plantations, and we were very confident that this plant will bear fruits. Somehow these plantations did not work the way we wanted. Biodiesel plants came up all over the country. A word about biodiesel. My organization also is setting up two plants for manufacturing biodiesel. They will take care of about 20% of the Indian Railways requirement at the rate of 5% mixing, 5% blending. So biodiesel story started in India, but since Jatropha plantations did not take off, lot of industries came up, none of them had any raw material. So today there are about 200 plus sick plants without raw material. Raw material for these plants remained palm stearin, which remained imported. As countries started using palm stearin, the rate of palm stearin started rising up from 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, now to almost 34, 36 rupees a kg. So this rate is rising up. Slowly the rate of biodiesel produced using this costly raw material is catching up with the HSD. So what do we look for from an alternate fuel? The fuel should have a positive environmental impact. Fuel should be renewable. But these are the two beginning points. Third thing is, there should be a sustainable way of producing it. If I cannot produce my biodiesel, biofuel regularly in the demand which is there to meet the demand which is there in the country, which diesel can, which petrol can, it will never win over those conventional alternatives. So we have to think in terms of what it takes to create that supply, continuity of supply of these fuels. Second thing which is very important is that the energy return on energy invested, EROEI. It's a jargon, but basically means how much energy you invest in producing a unit of energy in terms of fuel. If you are investing more energy into producing a liter of energy of artificial fuel, then it is useless. If I am using more electricity in the form of either furnace oil or diesel or electricity, something which is going into the production process, and I produce happily, okay, 1 liter of fuel. It is no good. It's gimmick. It's taking the country nowhere. So it is very necessary for alternate fuel options to meet this requirement. That we have to somehow look at processes which are giving positive growth in results, in energy growth when in the production process. Normally they say 2 to 3 times. 3 is the ideal value, but up to 2 times also ERE/OEI is a good way to begin. We found that the biodiesel from animal tallow, which is not considered a good thing to say in Indian context, and from palm stearin and some of the wild seeds in the country, at the moment is doing fine. Till now it is coming around 2 to 3 rupees cheaper than a liter of diesel. If diesel becomes costlier, the economy to that extent will grow. Second option, which I just want to, I did not introduce about myself, just a small thing about myself. I am working on a group for methanol with Niti Aayog. I am also working on a group for bringing in turbine prime movers to replace the reciprocating prime movers for use on the smaller vehicles, railway vehicles, marine vehicles. So Government of India is working on 2 sides. On one side, they are trying to create newer fuel options. On the second side, they are working on ways to use the prime mover options. Micro turbines is an option, turbines is an option, modified engines is an option, dual fuel engines is an option, and electric vehicles are options. These are all energy usage side. The generation side still remains fuel, fuel and fuel. There is nothing else. The only other thing is solar. So there is a big group sitting and talking about methanol. At the moment, methanol as a fuel production in the country is 0. And in China, they started 15 years back. I must say they have been smarter in this. They have started their production of methanol long back. There are some provinces where they are using 10% methanol. There are some provinces where they are even trying 100% methanol. A little bit of engineering, can't help it. I'm an engineer. I'm a fellow of Council of Engineering Institutions London in mechanical engineering, and a fellow of electrical engineering Council of Institution of Electrical Engineers India. Apart from being an electronics and telecommunication engineer, that's my prime qualification. So there are 2 types of engines. What we call them SI engines and CI engines. Petrol engines and diesel engines. Normally, other than DME and diesel, all other fuels tend to be SI fuels. So, what's the problem? We can use SI fuel. Only problem is, SI fuels work at compression ratio of, sorry I'm going a little technical, of around 10. And CI engines work at a compression ratio of about 20. So very loosely speaking, a CI engine will be half the size of SI engine. So if I want to have a 4,000 horsepower engine of railways, or 4,500 horsepower engine of railways with SI technology, sorry, I'll have to carry it on 2 of such engines. It is not an option. It is not an option for ships. It is not an option for submarines. It is not an option for railway engines. Therefore, railway engines and these heavy bore engines have to work on compression ignition cycle. For this, we at AeroTech, we've been working and developing dual fuel systems. World over, heavy bore engines, they are into GE, EMD, all these heavy engine makers are working on dual fuel cycles. This opens up a very important window for all of us. This enables the future fuels, the green fuels. Green fuels I'll count, in short, my time is over. Ethanol, little difficult because it comes from mostly edible things. Methanol, the promise of the future. Though it comes from every shred of grass lying around you, every twig lying around you, it can be converted into methanol. That is the area where India is looking at, that is the area where China is looking at, and that's the area where the world will look at. This can be blended, not in the form of fuel, but burning together in the engine using dual fuel technology. Today in India we have tried, in fact we are the only country perhaps who are running passenger services using dual fuel engines, using CNG and diesel. We have worked up to 20% substitution. Shortly, within a year's time, we will reach about 40% substitution. Ultimate aim is about 60% substitution under what we say, like in automobiles they say standard operating conditions. So we say standard duty cycle. But when we operate in real conditions, it comes down a bit. 20% substitution has given us benefit of cost by 8%. Believe me, 8% in Indians 15,000 crore Indian Railways bill is a huge amount, but we have not translated it so far to the entire consumption. We are waiting for the technology to get refined further. When we go to 40% substitution, we may have 20% plus benefit. So we will shave down our fuel bill from 14,000 crores down 20% without losing anything in the work, in the duties. Last word, we have started looking at a very new and thrilling side. The problem with all these artificial fuels, I'll call them, or biofuels, whatever you call them, is when you produce a liter of it, you have to put a huge amount of energy. Somewhere there is an endothermic process involved which demands, for example, if you are producing a liter of pyrolysis oil from wood, 1 liter requires around 6 to 6.5 units of electricity. So 6 to 6.5 units of electricity at a very, very nominal cost of say 6 rupees. 40 rupees plus. So the beginning energy cost of the fuel is 40 rupees plus the raw material, plus the processing, plus testing, transportation, blah, blah, blah. So we have already crossed 55, 60. It has already become unsuccessful. So we started thinking, okay, at IROF is my organization, why not remove this 6%? So we have taken up a project between 3-4 of our premier organizations, ARI Pune, National Institute of Solar Energy Gurgaon, Institute of Petroleum Dehradun, and IROF Delhi. We have taken up a project to use the heat from solar heat. First unit we will be establishing the prototype at NICE in Gurgaon, where the process heat for doing pyrolysis we will bring from solar, and we will produce the pyrolysis oil with nil energy input. So we will be down 36 rupees per liter. That leaves us 14 to 15 rupees a liter of the oil. We don't want to make this oil into diesel or petrol, which a lot of people have been trying. We want to modify the engine to use this oil to become a wood oil engine rather than making it a diesel engine or a SI engine. So gentlemen, the path ahead lies along methanol and possibility of using wood oil in some modified engines so that every village can produce it. Every village becomes energy sufficient. And there they run your electric cars by charging them from the generators. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta. We have to excuse Mr. Chung because he had a flight to catch at 8:15, and I know we're running way behind schedule, so I appreciate your patience. We're having a great session, so I appreciate the fact that you're sitting patiently. We have 2 more speakers. We started late. I feel like the captain of an aircraft when he says that we're late because of the late arrival of the aircraft. But we are running late, so I appreciate your patience. Can I request Mr. Sandith, Thandasherry, CEO, NavAlt India. Sandith is one of the founder and chief strategists of NavAlt Solar and Electric Boats. He also serves the position of managing director. He persuaded BTech in naval architecture from IIT Madras and MBA from INSEAD. He also has an industrial experience of more than 16 years. He is also the co-founder of NavAlt.
Okay, thank you for the intro. Now I'm curious to listen to what I have to speak. Right, okay, so what we see here is Aditya, India's first solar ferry. This is a 75 passenger boat, fully powered by the sun.
It is the size of 6 buses. So it carries about 2,000 people daily across 2.5 kilometer stretch in Kerala, and it has been operating for the past 4 months. So, so this is a normal boat. Okay. So these are conventional boat, diesel ferry on the left, typical what you see in Kerala, Maharashtra, etc. On the right is what you see in Mumbai, in Dubai, Abras. So that's a petrol-opium, typical fuels used on these. So why we need to, so the challenge came from Kerala government asking whether public transport vehicle can be made fully solar. That's what we try to take it up. So apart from the technical challenge, there were non-technical challenge, like there will be a lot of experts going around, especially when you try something new. They will go around telling this is impossible, boats which carry 75 people weighing so much cannot move with just solar, you need a lot of power, etc., etc. These are the typical non-technical challenge any entrepreneur, any innovator will face, and this comes from a very reputed Cochin university's professors. Yeah. So till you get this going, it is always a challenge. We in fact had a risk of them going to the High Court to try to stop the project, saying this is unviable. So the only hope only chance we wanted was if they give a chance to let the boat run on water so that we can prove it works. So till that happened, we were keeping our fingers crossed and waiting for the chance. But it didn't take long, it came fast. The challenge is how to reduce a normal boat from about 35 ton to half the weight. That's the first challenge. So by using lighter material, etc. That's applicable in all EV and every other vehicle. The second is how to make it more efficient. There was some talk about the CFD and drag. So exactly what you have to do in water. You have to reduce the power drastically from 40 kilowatt to 15. And third is the technology which is common in all EV vehicles, which are good battery management system controls, etc. That's where we stand. This is just, since you are not familiar with boat building, I just put the photos how this is built. So the various stage of construction, and this is how the boat looks like. So like all EV or electric projects, it's clean, no noise, no vibration. These are the feedback we get from people. Right, so this was inaugurated by Sri Piyush Goyal on Jan 12th, and it has been operating since then. So this is the crucial part. See, fundamentally I believe, and I think most of you also agree, that unless a project is economical, people will not adopt. I think Hemalatha just touched on that point. So there's no point in coming with the technology till it makes business sense. Right, so we tried in various segments like fishing segment, cruise, etc. Some of which was utter failure, a lot of stupidity from my side, from our designers. So it's normal. So until we cracked on or identified the public transport passenger ferry, where you don't need any subsidy. So we don't ask for subsidy, we don't ask for anything. It's a pure business case, how it works. And the numbers here I just put is showing why it works in Kerala. So the past 100 days, it carried 1.8 lakh people, 10,000 liters diesel saved. So there's no fuel on board, it's pure solar. And the usual CO2, we don't talk much because nobody cares. They only care about the right extreme, how much money you save. So this year, this boat would have saved for the government about 22 lakhs. So, right? So based on the difference in cost, again this is without subsidy, it's a 2-year break even. Not to forget the cost of pollution in the other alternatives. We don't talk of it because nobody cares. It's just numbers we talk. So this is what they do. Because this has happened, they are ordering another 10 solar ferries for Kerala government this year, and they plan to be all solar in the next 5 years. That's the Kerala government's plan. Now, again, just as a comparison, there are 3 ferries operating in the same location. Now, a typical ferry needs, the revenue on a very subsidized public transportation is about 5,000 to 6,000 rupees, what the transport operators here. The cost of diesel is about 7,000. So every day you run the boat, you are in loss, right? So in comparison, the daily cost of our boat is 124, right? So that's the cost difference. That's how the economics work. And I just want to touch upon a few things when we say EV and this conference, everything, when they talk electric vehicle, people all think on transport on road. So my objective is to try to put in everyone's mind, I don't know if there are any government people also, there is something called water transport. So while sitting in Delhi, we don't realize, because there is no water transport here, so we don't realize, but in Kerala and many places in India where water transport is significant. So when they come up with the schemes like FAME or various other things, which they give for buses and other things, even scooters, bikes, cars, buses, so there is nothing for boats. So it's good to have, it will help the consumers, but I still say subsidy is not essential for the economics to work. And then other thing about EV, typical EV, because I think somebody touched upon, the power source today in India is still largely dominated by coal and other things. So just shifting pollution from cities to the power plant. So unless you can change that, you can still talk EV, but it doesn't make sense. It's still a decade away in India, I think. Unlike that, this is completely removes the pollution. So there must be a special incentive also, I think, for the consumers. And then the last thing, it was our conscious choice, since in one of the points is battery, so I'm just mentioning. Our conscious choice was to select the chemistry which is more safer rather than lighter. So for example, Tesla went for polymer, so we went for lithium ion manganese phosphate, which is a bit heavier. For boat is okay, but it's much more safer. The only risk is you put it actually in a fire, otherwise it doesn't create spark or it doesn't create risk. So safety was a conscious choice, and as a regulation, when we build the first boat, the marine standards, it's not there in India for safety of batteries. So we had to adopt some of the standards used in Norway. As you all know, Norway has very high standards. So those batteries were all meeting the Norwegian standards. So I'm not very sure how the EV vehicle market battery standards are, but I'm of the opinion that those standards has to be high, since any small accidents, etc., can be blown out of proportion. I'm sure there will be a very strong oil lobby for that. So we have to avoid that. So that's what I want to say. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sandith, I think I have to tell you that we have made an electric boat running in Trivandrum. I will show that to you. All electric, okay? Optimized powertrain.
Thank you, Sandith. This is a pretty diverse session, because we've covered everything from trains to boats to electric bikes and commercial vehicles. So it's been a great session so far. It's my pleasure to introduce the last speaker, Mr. Sandeep Kashyap, CEO, Telecom and Distributed Solar ACME India. Sandeep is the Chief Executive Officer, Telecom and Distributed Solar at ACME. He has done his MBA in Marketing and Finance from IMT Ghaziabad and BE in Electronics and Communications. He has more than 22 years of experience of global sales, technology consulting and business development in diverse industries, including industrial automation, telecom and distributed solar. Since 2012, he has been involved in incubating businesses with a focus of distributed solar. Prior to ACME, he was working with Sun Group as Director and Senior VP in Business Development. In the past, he was also associated with SAR Group and the CEO of Solar Business, Luminous and Domino's Printech. He has been instrumental in introducing solar solutions for the telecom industry in India. He's also presented green technology solutions at various national forums advocating solar energy. Sandeep.
Thanks, Dhruv. Good evening, everyone. So as you know, Government of India has come out with a very ambitious plan of converting all transport to electric by 2030, and which is very important for us, looking at our targets to reduce pollution overall. Just to give you a perspective, it costs India $80 billion annually due to environmental degradation, right? And a major portion of this comes out of
the air pollution which is in India. Now within this, we also have almost 7 million premature deaths happening in India because of air pollution, and vehicular pollution is one of the major contribution to this air pollution. So we strongly believe that EV is the future of green transportation for India, and we have been working in this area for the last couple of years, looking at the challenges what the whole industry is facing. So we understand there are 4 major challenges the whole industry is facing as far as faster adoption of EVs in India. The first biggest challenge is the cost of EV today is high compared to a IC vehicle in each category. That means we have to work on a subsidy based model in order to promote these vehicles. The second biggest challenge what we see is the life of the battery, which is one of the pain points, the replacement cost. The third point which we see is the range in terms of how many kilometers at a stretch EV can run or operate, and the fourth thing is the charging infrastructure. So these are the 4 basic problems we are able to see which are becoming a bottleneck in terms of faster adoption of these electric vehicles in India. When we went into deep, we realized we can reduce the cost of the EV if we separate the battery from the EV itself. So a EV which is not having the battery and not having the engine, there is no reason why that vehicle should be costing more than a IC engine based vehicle. And this can be done very easily because batteries in any case gets replaced. It's a consumable, right? And battery essentially is a part of energy fuel which has to go into the EV. In terms of the range and the life problems, most of the technologies had started with use of lead acid batteries. There were some advantages in terms of the low cost, but disadvantages in terms of the weight, in terms of the cycle life, and over a period of time there are a couple of competing technologies, advanced technologies in batteries which have been explored, and now the time has come where we see lithium ion technology is being explored very aggressively by the people globally as well as in India. We are one of the leading players in lithium ion technology in India, having our own manufacturing facility. So we have done extended trials testing for the last couple of years in various category of EVs. Today we see more of e-rickshaws. So e-rickshaws is one category which we have been exploring very aggressively. And the fourth point is the charging infrastructure, which is not there at all. So the way we see this whole thing is, in order to move this EV project in India at a much faster pace, the business model has to be, EV has to be without a battery, and then there has to be an energy supplier, which is the fuel supplier, like you have petrol pumps, and this energy supplier is responsible for owning the battery, leasing the batteries, infrastructure in terms of charging and swapping stations. It has to be maintained, it has to be created by the energy supplier, and it is the responsibility of the energy supplier to get the cheapest cost of energy for charging these batteries. Likewise, based on this, we have developed a complete range of solution which is standardized. Standardized, when I say standardized, it means it's a standard lithium ion block. For a two-wheeler, you need only one block, such block, to run for, let's say, around 70 to 80 kilometers. For a e-rickshaw, the same block, you have two in numbers, which can again run for 70 to 80 kilometers. For an e-auto, you can probably have three such blocks, which can again give a mileage of 80 to 100 kilometers. And for an e-car, you can have 6 to 8 such blocks, standard blocks. Now why these standard blocks? Because in this scenario, you don't have to create a different type of charging and swapping station infrastructure for different kind of vehicles. So same kind of infrastructure is available for all kind of vehicles, and people can come and change and swap the batteries with the charged batteries. The beauty of the solution is it takes only less than 1 minute to swap the batteries. So it is much faster, even faster than you go to a petrol station to have fuel filled in your car, which normally takes 3 to 4 minutes. So that's the concept. Now, in the last 1 year, what we have done done a few trials with our charging and swapping infrastructure and the batteries. The trials are still going on. We are going out with some more trials. There is a very good level of acceptance which has come from the market on this concept. We have proposed this whole solution to the government as well. We have been working very closely with some of the agencies, and the idea is very well accepted, wherein we clearly see that considering the mindset of Indian society and people, wherein we are very cost conscious in terms of initial capex at least, right? Keeping the batteries out and the complete infrastructure as a part of the energy supply. This is one of great ways of promoting EVs at competitive costs in India. Parallelly, on a very broad scale, the way we look at the energy side of it, we are one of the largest solar power developer in the country today with a portfolio of 1.8 gigawatt. You would have seen last bid, which has gone up to 2 rupees and 62 paisa yesterday for 250 megawatt of solar. So the ultimate goal is to have the power from our solar plants, which is a fixed and the cheapest cost of power under open access in banking, right? To charge these batteries and make the whole model so attractive that you don't have to look at a diesel or a petrol car anymore going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, since we are running very late, we'll take any additional interactions after the session, unless any of the speakers would like to add anything to what they've already said. I'll close the session and we'll take any additional interactions post that. One last item, if I could present the speakers with mementos, please. Since we are not in too much of a tearing hurry, could we have a few questions, please, if there are any?
Hi. This question I am asking for Mr. Sandeep Kashyap. It is nice that hearing about swapping of the battery and all that. Electric two-wheeler today is subsidized with a X amount for the change of the selling of the product to the end user, which is counted and recorded in the system of DHI with only battery. That means the subsidy is for the battery. So how this will be helping for reducing the cost if we don't have a battery inside and it is used for the different purpose?
Very good question, I would say. So the whole idea is by keeping the battery outside, the whole idea was, can we have our program for EVs not dependent on the subsidy from the government? You know, any program which is based on the subsidies, it is very difficult to scale those programs. And the moment subsidies are out, you know, either they die down, or otherwise the other choice is the technology cost has come down so far, then they don't need subsidies, right? So the whole idea is we don't have to depend on subsidies to run these programs, and let the energy supplier take care of that, and the initial cost be lower for the end consumer. As far as energy is concerned, it has been considered that whatever is the lowest cost of benchmark for operating cost of a two-wheeler or a three-wheeler or a four-wheeler, at least 25% of energy cost reduction should be proposed in this model, which we have been able to achieve. So in our model, practically we are not looking at subsidy from government at all.
Maybe I just want to value add. I think that's a good point, but I think that the key essence, I think what I could learn from Sandith's presentation is that we'll have to work it to about at least 100 vehicles pilot for e-rickshaws and show to the government. See, I think if that is done, definitely the government look at ways to even support this. Because I think the private operators mostly, even if you do, it's too much of a cash burden on them, unless otherwise they see a very viable model, because the operators who are running, they have to really kind of, collect money and then pay for the batteries, right, at the end of the day. So it will be challenging, I suppose.
In fact, I can't really, give more details, but I can tell you within this month we are running a pilot of more than 100 e-rickshaws.
Excellent.
In this country.
I have a basic doubt in this scheme. I have a basic doubt in this scheme. It sounds fine that you separate the cost of battery from the vehicle becomes cheaper, and then swapping of battery becomes easy. But if you take a larger picture, if there are X number of vehicles, this system will operate with X plus certain percentage of batteries. So the actual cost of ownership of each vehicle will have burden of more number of batteries than one. I'm saying that it makes it practical, perfectly fine. But the customer should not think that the cost of battery will become less. That cannot be the plank for it. The plank for this can be continuity of business. Plank can be that yes, you will not have to leave your car and hail a taxi after 80 kilometers. You can go and get your battery changed, another battery will come. So what I'm saying is that you please, maybe you have to change your pitch. This is not for reducing the cost of the vehicle. Overall, the cost of ownership of electric vehicle will go up under this scheme, but business will become continuous. Thank you.
Very nice input. In fact, just to give you a small perspective, and everybody, with respect to the cost of ownership. Today, what is happening is there is a dilemma when it comes to EVs. On one side, we want the EVs to run more and more, and therefore we try to add more batteries so that the range increases, right? The idea of putting a swapping station is that we don't have to increase the capacity of the battery to give more range, because normally these EVs are supposed to be running in the city areas. These are city transport vehicles, not the interstate vehicles for that matter. So optimize the battery and swap the battery, and within the swapping stage, when we talk about additional capacities to be put up, to the extent of only 25 to 30%. Although we will be trying it, we are doing some trials, and obviously we will have some more learnings while we go with the field trials going forward. But conceptually the idea is not to burden the vehicle with a heavy battery investment and a higher cost of the battery, just to make sure that it runs more in a single stretch, rather than giving more and more swapping stations wherein optimal capacity of the battery can be planned. That's the whole idea. Thank you.
We take one last question, please. If you could provide a mic to that gentleman.
Hi, the question is directed to Mr. Kashyap. I think this is a very engaging topic. I think building on what Mr. Gupta said, is this concept limiting on design of the product? I mean, just to elaborate, the thought is that today we have products in different segments. There are different performance needs. So if you standardize a battery pack for a two-wheeler or a three-wheeler or a four-wheeler, will it also standardize the product across all the categories?
So in fact, as far as e-rickshaws are concerned, we are getting a very positive response on this model, even with the e-autos. As far as cars are concerned, we are seeing a good level of resistance by the manufacturers as of now, because they want to keep the batteries with themselves. They believe, and I believe too, if the battery is also out and there is no engine, what is left in the car, right? So there's nothing for them. But we strongly believe if this is the model going forward, then the industry has to align. There is no other choice. And we have been talking to some international companies in the four-wheeler space who are ready to come into India with us for the manufacturing in such a way, or supplying their kits in such a way that it doesn't come with the battery packs. So it's only the kits, flat packs which are available. Coming to the performance needs, when you say, so essentially it's a complete design you do, and based on the need of that particular vehicle, you have to understand how much of modules you need to really add. Standardization is going to help in terms of, one, there is no single company on which somebody is dependent. If there is a standard which is laid, let 4, 5, 7 companies bid against that standard today. Like we are having a bidding for solar, why can't we bidding for an energy supplier? Right. So that's the whole idea, and it will scale the whole industry in a much better way. That's what our belief is.
I think to add it to what Sandeep said, the government is actually changing the complete policy guidelines. When I say changing, getting into infrastructure, they are standardizing many powertrain components. One of the things I am told that this Friday they are unveiling the interim document of the changes. I think it will be very worthwhile to watch the media to see the kind of inputs that we have. Because I think this government is very open and receptive to ideas. Even if you all see the report in paper, if you can just go to Niti Aayog's site and then give your feedback, the government will listen. Okay, if they don't, you can write an email to me, I will take it forward. Because definitely I think we should all collectively give ideas to make the system work. You know, and government needs help. We can't just only tell the government is not doing, we'll have to give ideas, we'll have to validate, and we have to be with them to be able to make it work.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, if I could request you to give our speakers a big round of applause. I think the big takeaway from this session has been the fact that we're working on looking at various solutions over a diverse set of challenges, whether it's in the railways, whether it's on the road, or whether it's on our waterways. And the hope for us is that with all of these things we get increased efficiency and lower emissions for all our citizens. So thank you once again, and if I could have the mementos, please.
Ms. Hemalatha Annamalai. Mr. Rajiv Agrawal. Mr. Pradeep V. Pandurangi. Mr. Ravinder Gupta. Mr. Sandith. Mr. Sandeep Kashyap. To the chair, Mr. Dhruv Behl.